Hello, my name is Sandrine, and in 2025, I read 44 books. And today I'm here to talk about let me see if I can get it up, all the 10 books that are sitting in my lap right now that are my top 10 books of 2025. Now that I think about it, though, I don't know if this is 10 books, it might be 12. But it's okay. I will explain why. These are the books that I know that I still think about, that I still can't manage to stop talking about. These are the books that left a mark on me. And some of these authors I discovered this year. So I'm so excited to talk about these and share why they mean so much to me. So I'm going to start off with the books that I rated 5 stars. And they are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of them are 5 stars. I'm going to start from number 7 and go to number 1 in this pile of 5 star reads. So number 7 is Between Friends and Lovers. This is by Shirlene Oboubi. And this is the first time that I've read anything from this author. I've heard so many good reviews about this book. So I was like, let me try it out. It wasn't as messy as I expected it to be. It was actually really deep and really good and very entertaining to say the least. And I love that in a romance book. This book follows a girl named Jo, and Jo is in love with her best friend Ezra, which is a secret because she haven't told him this. And at some point, he does something that is super hurtful to her, and she decides on taking a break from their friendship. During this time, she meets a wonderful guy named Malcolm. Malcolm has my heart. And he's a writer, and he's super attentive and loving and caring. But of course, Jo is just stuck in between Ezra and Malcolm. So this book follows that. I wouldn't say this is a love triangle in a traditional sense. This is a book about learning how to let your guard down and learning how to let go of control, because Jo is a super independent girl and she's been alone for the longest time. She doesn't have any safety net. She doesn't have any parents to guide her or to care for her. So she's been on her own. And so when she finds Malcolm, who is like, I can be your family, I can be your safety net, she's like, how do I let go? Now that I'm talking about it, this sounds super cheesy, but it's really not. It was very deep, very emotional, very layered. And I really enjoyed this. I love that it was fast paced. Charlene Oboubi managed to also include some aspects of the medical industry that is not really that glamorous as we think it is. Next, we have Hold My Girl by Charlene Carr. I love this book so much. I just can't stop talking about this book. This is a book about two women whose eggs get switched during IVF. This leads them to a very messy and emotional custody battle. And it's just one of those books where you feel like every feeling that you read about is superhuman. You have empathy for both women, and it's impossible to pick sides because both women have been through so much. I've made a full review on this on my Instagram. If you don't follow me there, please do. What struck me the most about this book is how it felt like watching one of those. It felt like a movie. It felt like I was watching a full production. If I felt like I was watching Suits almost, but it's about two women. It's about infertility. It's about all things that are connected to reproductive health. So this is one of those books that I feel like everyone should read, especially in this day and age of IVF and all the laws about restricting women's right to abortion and all of those type of things. They are all connected to this book. So please do pick this one up. My Sister, the Serial Killer. Guys, this is a book by Oyinkan Braithwaite. Is it Braithwaite or Braithwaite? Hmm. I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm so sorry if I did that. It's about Korede and Ayola. Korede is the bigger sister, and Ayola is the younger sister. And Ayola has a big problem. Her biggest problem is that she likes to kill the man that she dates. She's so crazy, which means that every time she does this, she calls her sister Korede for rescue. She's like, "Hey, please, can you come and help me clean up?" And Korede, being the big sister that she is, she's like, "Of course, I'm coming." And she brings the bleach, the gloves, everything. I don't want to spoil more details about this book because it's such a short book. So I feel like if I keep on telling you more, it's like I'm telling you all like the whole story, and I don't want to do that. What struck me the most was the aspect of pretty privilege and how basically if you're pretty in some countries or in some societies, or not even some societies, maybe it's all over the world. Like Ayola is this pretty sister that's always gotten what she wanted, and even the police just sees her as this angel, and whatever Korede wants to say, they're like, "Oh, you're the jealous sister just because she's not seen as pretty." And that was very interesting for me. It has this like dark humor that you just, yeah, I loved it. I love this book very, very much. I understand the hype. I don't think you can talk about 2025 without talking about this book. Dream Count. Like, can you really talk about 2025 without talking about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's new novel? Not even, it's not new anymore, but you know what I'm saying. Like, how long have we been waiting for Chimamanda to release a new book? Forever. 10 years. It's forever. So when she released this book, I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And funny enough, it came around the time where I needed it the most because what this book is about was just exactly what I needed to be reading at that time. So as soon as this book got released, ran to the store and picked it up and immediately got to work. This book is about four women. It's mostly played out in the US, but some parts of it are in Nigeria and I believe another country. Is it Guinea? I think I might not remember this, but I think some of one of the character Kadiatu is maybe from Guinea-Bissau. I might be wrong. Sorry. But yeah, it's about four women and we follow them going through life, managing relationships. They are in mid 30s or some of them are close to 40. So it's very interesting in that way. It's not your normal like 20 something book, which I enjoyed because sometimes I get tired about reading about 25-year-olds. I'm like, we know the story. We know what the 20 somethings are going through. So yeah. The stories that will live with me forever from this book is the story about Zikora, and then the story about Kadiatu. Those two were stories about two women who've really tried their hardest to become who they become, but life just didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. So those two stories were very emotional. I've seen a lot of critics about this book. People are saying that it's too male centered, and it is. It really is male centered, but I also feel like, what do you want Chimamanda to do? She can't lie. Like, of course it's centered around men because women think about men a lot. Not all women, but a lot of women do. So I feel like this was kind of a reflection of what happens when a woman is successful. She has money and she has basically everything in life, but she doesn't have a man. Like, how does she view herself and how does society view her? That's the question. And I feel like she she did a great job at exploring this subject without giving us answers. She left us with questions about how do we continue living life if life didn't turn out the way you thought it was supposed to go? And how do you manage like failure in your personal life? This is what it's about, because most of them, they have money, they are wealthy, and money is not a problem, but the subject of love, romantic love, is a problem. And also, it kind of reminded me of how we don't see, like, we seem as women, or maybe as a society, we don't view friendship as a real relationship. And when I was reading this book, I kept on thinking, guys, you can look around, like, you have love, you have family, but it's all very hard when you have maybe parents or family members that are on you about, like, when are you going to have a child and you're 35, or when are you going to find a husband? We've been waiting for the longest time, like, can't you get a surrogate? Like, just all of those questions that are so hard for you to manage if you're just trying to live your life. But yeah, so I feel I don't like that criticism about this book being too male centered, because it's more of a reflection. She's not saying that we, she's not saying that this is what women should be doing. She's just simply writing about what most women do, you know? Again, I love this book. It came around the time where I needed it the most, and I'm forever thankful for Chimamanda. It made me want to reread some of the Chimamanda books that I have. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but I have a few of them. So I might want to reread more of Shimamanda's books in 2026. Small Country by Gaël Faye. This is a book that I received by somebody I knew a few years ago, actually. So I've been like, it's been in my book selection for the longest time. And I honestly don't know why I didn't read it sooner, because it was so good. So please, if you're watching this, thank you. I love your gift. Yeah, this is a book that just, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, because I was expecting to feel overwhelmed and being like, oh my God, it's about a war that I'm well familiar with. It's the genocide in Burundi. But funny enough, guys, I didn't know that much about the war and genocide in Burundi as I thought. Like, I didn't understand the depth of it. And I feel like through this book, I got to understand what that war was really about. It is a fiction story, but I feel like the events, I did do some research afterwards, and like the facts I could find about the war in Burundi and how it aligned with the story in this book, it was quite similar. So, oh, I love Gael Faye so much. Yeah, so this is a book about a boy named Gabriel, and he lives in Burundi. His mom is from Rwanda, and his dad is French. And he lives this very privileged life and very idyllic life in Burundi. Like, you follow him playing with his friends and going to school. And then after a while, the genocide in Rwanda starts, and we see how that affects his mom, who have relatives in Rwanda still. And also, we follow his life before the war, during the war, and after the war in Burundi. Throughout my life, I've known a lot of people from Burundi. My best friend is from Burundi. So I thought I knew a lot of things. But this is the thing about reading. Sometimes you just get the details that you can't manage to get from the people around you, because maybe they don't want to talk about the wars that much, or maybe they just tell you a few details here and there, but they can't tell you the whole thing, because it's a traumatic thing. So I don't blame them for not telling me, and honestly, I don't think I have asked that much, to be quite honest. So when I was reading this, I found out that this war was between 1993 and 2005. That's a long time for a war to go on that long. And it got me thinking about how I'm from Rwanda, and we all know about the genocide in Rwanda in 1994 and how long it lasted and all of that. But I was just so surprised that I didn't know about the war in Burundi because it also lasted way longer. I was just like questioning why I haven't heard as much about Burundi as much as Rwanda. But now that I love this story. I felt like it was a very realistic description of what how life is during war. Yeah, this is definitely one of those stories that will stick with me forever, and I probably want to reread this at some point because I loved it. I loved every single page of it. And a few months after, I read Jacaranda by Gaël Faye again. I was like so starstruck by Gaël Faye after reading Small Country. And this is a book about Rwanda where we follow a boy named Milan. Milan lives in France, and his mom is from Rwanda and his dad is French. Milan grows up in an environment where he never really gets to talk about Rwanda, or his mom doesn't tell him much about Rwanda. So when he grows up, he's like, I want to figure this out by my own. I want to find my relatives. I want to discover my roots in Rwanda. And so he travels to Rwanda and meets his mom's side of the family. And when he gets there, he's like so stunned by how he just wants to ask a lot of questions, but he finds out that in Rwanda, you really can't just be asking all of those questions. They don't love to revisit the memories from the genocide, rightfully so. So we follow Milan on this journey of self discovery while also retelling the story about Rwanda after the genocide and the modern day society that Rwanda is today. I love this book so, so, so much. I got sent this from Edition Y, a Swedish publisher here in Sweden. I can't describe the joy this book gave me because it was such a joy. It felt like home. Every page, for some people this might not be a funny book. Let me just tell you that. It might be too traumatic, but for me, comparing to Small Country, this was a little bit lighter to read because it's not an event of war. It's more like maybe a retelling of things that happened during the war, but it doesn't mean that like the war is not just present at all times. So it's more of like day-to-day life in Rwanda, which I'm more familiar with because I grew up in Rwanda and I do visit Rwanda from time to time. So I enjoyed this book. I found that it was just like filled with so much joy. I read it in Swedish, reading some sentences in Kinyarwanda while also reading in Swedish, which is a language that I speak every day. It was just magic. I was like, this is what reading does. Like, you're supposed to feel the connection to the characters, you're supposed to feel seen, and you're supposed to feel like you are in this world where nothing else matters besides this book. And this is what this book gave me. And so I'm super, super thankful for it. And I was so thankful that I got sent a copy. And also, the cover is so pretty. This cover, I love it. There's a lot of jacaranda trees in Rwanda. And also, I remember I lived in South Africa. So in Johannesburg, there's a lot of jacaranda trees during spring. So it's so pretty. Okay, so we made our way down to number one in my pile of five-star reads. Guys, when I was reading this book, I couldn't stop talking about it. This book, I think this was my first five-star read of 2025 because I just I love this book so much. As you can see, like I can't even get some words out because I'm just remembering the joy I got from it because it was so interesting. So yeah, everyone around me kept hearing about this book because I couldn't stop talking about this book, and they got so sick of me talking about this book that they were like, "If you tell us about this book one more time," and I was like, "Please, can I please tell you about this book that I'm reading?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't care." So now you get to hear about it because yeah, you can tell me that, or maybe you can in the comments, but don't do it, please. Who Wants to Live Forever by Hannah Thomas Ouse. I have never read anything from Hannah Thomas Ouse. I think this might be her debut novel, actually. Yeah, I think it is. And what a debut novel. She's so brilliant. Like, she wrote my favorite book of the year, and I love her for that. So, this is a book about Yuki and Sam. Yuki is leading a campaign against this new drug on the market that is supposed to prolong your life forever. Okay, so the founder of this drug is like, if you take this drug, you won't have to worry about aging. And not worrying about aging will give you the time that you need to reach all your goals that you want to achieve in life. So it can be, let's say you want to become a musician and you don't have the money for it. Like, okay, so now you have all the time in the world to make all the money that you need to become a musician or to buy the house, or like, time is not an issue because you have time on your side, you're not aging, you're not going anywhere, which means that your life will be perfect in terms of reaching your goals. And Yuki's husband Sam decides on taking this drug, and this changes everything for them. And we follow them as they manage what is seen as a crisis for them because their whole life they have built this life together, and Sam taking this drug seemed to change everything. And when it comes to beauty standards, this book also explored what it means for women in this day and age to be exposed to so much propaganda about aging. I feel like aging might be seen as the worst thing that can happen to a woman, like having wrinkles, when in reality, what is it that we are exchanging our aging to? It even says it here on the back of this book. It says, "What is life without death? And what is life without love?" Just like the question of aging and visibly aging, how it's seen as this threat to mostly women, but also men in a different sense. But for women, it's connected to beauty standards and looking your best at all times, and how the media sells us the idea that you need to look a certain way, you need to be seen a certain way in order to achieve happiness, in order to live the lifestyle that you want. You need to do this, you need to buy this, you need to put on this. Like, the list is never ending. If this goes on, like the beauty standard, the plastic surgery industry, all of that, if this continues, I feel like all the things that can go wrong is in this book. That's what I feel like. This is definitely a book that I want to reread at some point, and I think I wrote this in my review on Goodreads. I was like, can she please write a number two? I feel like this would be a great book that is a part of a series or something like that, or just something similar, because I've been reading a lot of sci-fi and dystopian novels, and this is far out the best that I've read this far. I love this book, and I think it's because it's very interconnected to what we're seeing today. And also, another thing I want to say about this book is that it's really about a love story as well. The center of the story is Yuki and Sam and their lives and the choices that they make. And I just it was interesting for me to see how two people have made a promise to each other to live forever, and when shit hits the fan, this is what happens, this is what breaks them. It's this drug that breaks their bond. And it goes to say, like, it shows how life can change and how people can change. Like, what is your opinion today might not be your opinion tomorrow. And Sam really did that. I didn't like Sam. I was so disappointed in Sam. So let me just stop talking about Sam before I start getting mad at him again. I haven't seen a lot of people read this book. Like, why am I the only one on my timeline reading this book? I don't understand because I think it was a 2025 release, and I just can't understand why this book is not getting as much hype as I'm giving it. You know? Think about it. Read it. Okay, so now that I told you about my 5-star reads, I'm gonna tell you about other 4 books that left a mark on me that I just can't leave 2025 without talking about. Starting off strong with Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a book that is well known, and I'm so late to the game because I don't know. I don't think that the premise of these books have been interesting to me before, but I was going through a period of time earlier in 2025 that was pretty hard, pretty tough, and I was not sure if I would be able to read again, like to find strength to sit with the book and read it and finish it. So I picked up something that sounded like emotional but still very easy, and this was so good. I don't know what it is about this book, but it's if you don't know about the let me start by telling you what this book is about because I will be talking about my feelings about it later. If you haven't heard anything about this book, it's about a cafe in Tokyo. It's like a normal cafe, but people go to this cafe also to travel back to the past to talk to their loved ones. It was very slow paced, therapeutic, and there's a lot of great quotes in this book. It's really about healing. That's what this book is about. And that's why I think the whole series is about. I finished reading the third book before your memory fades. I finished it in around Christmas. I think I read it over Christmas, like for 1 day or 2 days. I will say this: number one, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and number two, Tales from the Cafe are my favorites, especially Tales from the Cafe because I feel like it's way deeper than number one. I rated these two 4 stars. And this one I rated 3 stars. But I feel like it's the same book, to be quite honest. I'm gonna see. I do want to finish the series because I feel like it's kind of a healing process for me still to read this, and I feel like they do help me to slow down and just like think about the present. Like, how do you want to live your life, and how can one view death in a very um, in a healthy way. This, especially the first one, will always be a very special book for me because it proved to me that I could read again. So, yeah. And for my 10th book, I want to talk about Bolu Babalola. Just for Bolu Babalola, started off with Love in Color. This is a short story collection. In 2024, in November, I was in Rwanda. I was visiting my friend who had just given birth to her son. And shout out to Sonia. And so I saw this on her shelf and I was like, what is that? Is that a good book? Did you like it? And she was like, yeah, you want it? You can take it. And I was like, are you sure? Of course. And also it's kind of not fair for her to borrow me this book because when am I gonna give it back? Like I have to go to Rwanda to give her back. I don't know. So I started reading this on my flight home from Rwanda, but I couldn't focus. So I put it down, and then at some point I didn't have anything to read during spring, so I picked it up and I was like, "Oh, this book is great. This is why I was so interested in you." So I continued reading it. It was so beautiful, so well written, and I think I rated it 4.5, no, 3.5 stars. And I was immediately like, I need to read more from Bolu Babalola. When the time came and Sweet Heat got released in October, I believe, I was like, I need to read this book. Like, I just have to read this book. So I picked it up, and let me just say that I love this book, okay? I'm going to start off by saying that this is one of the best, besides Lovers and Friends, this is my one of the best romance books that I've ever read, because it was giving insecure vibes. If you've watched the show Insecure, you're gonna love this. And I don't know how to describe this book besides saying it's amazing. Maybe it's because I've done a review of this on my Instagram, so you can go and watch it. It's quite detailed in what I liked and what I didn't like, but I was just amazed by Bolu Babalola. This is a second chance romance. It follows Kiki and Malachi, and these are some characters from her previous book. What is it called? The previous book. I'm gonna tag it here somewhere. They have grown up, they're not in college anymore, they are living their lives, and we get to see them fall in love again, and all of the emotions that comes with falling in love with your ex again. And it was emotional, entertaining, funny, sexy, fast paced, but also kind of slow paced sometimes. Everything you want in a romance book. So yeah. Okay, guys, so that was it. These are all the books that I will be remembering from 2025. I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about these books? And have you read any of these books? Are these some books that you would love to add to your TBR for 2026? And I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments. And I also want to thank you for watching my first ever YouTube video. I love YouTube, and this is honestly the space that I spend most of my time. I love BookTube. This is where my favorite creators are, and I follow their every move with their vlogs, with their book recaps and reviews. So I'm so happy that I'm finally taking this step to be a part of it. And I am so excited to make long form content, because if I'm being honest, the short form content on Instagram is quite hard for me. I'm a slow talker. So naturally, if I'm going to make a video, it's probably not going to be 2 minutes. So I'm trying to explore more of YouTube, and I want to learn everything. So bear with me. And I hope that I will see you soon again. Thank you for watching. Bye.